Hello, interpreters. This is Mason, the interpreter. Today, I want to talk about something that all interpreters have probably thought about at least once in their career: the artificial intelligence, the AI. Will AI replace us, the interpreters? Let's talk about it. Before I say anything, here is a disclaimer. This is just my opinion, right? Some might agree and some might not agree, and that is okay. I'm here to just share my thoughts on this topic as an interpreter, so please keep that in mind. I know there are many interpreters, translators, and linguists who wholeheartedly believe that AI will never be able to replace our jobs. But there are also people like Elon Musk who firmly believe that AI will replace our jobs. So, to me at least, it looks like people are pretty divided on this topic. I don't think anyone can give you the answer, including myself, because we simply don't know what's going to happen in the future. So, as an interpreter who is currently working in the field, what do I think? I believe it will happen. And I think it will probably happen sooner than we think. Now, I know as soon as I say that, people or my fellow interpreters might tell me, are you out of your freaking mind? You're saying we're all going to lose our jobs. You don't know what you're talking about. And I know, that's scary. Losing a job is scary. Nobody wants that. But if we think about it, this trend of technological advancement replacing human jobs set sail a long time ago, and I'm really not sure if this is something we can or should reverse. I know it's not an apples to apples comparison, but think about all the jobs that have already been replaced by technological advancements. When I was young, this self checkout machine was first being introduced to local grocery stores in my city. I remember people saying, why would customers want to ring up their own groceries themselves when someone is already doing it for them? That makes no sense. But oddly enough, I think many people now actually prefer going to the self checkout. When it comes to interpreting, I really don't think it is looking too different. When there was no technological advancement, all interpreters had to be on site, being there physically. It was difficult to get an interpreter, it was time consuming and expensive. Then the over the phone interpreting system was developed, making interpreting services a lot more accessible. Now we also have video calls available, providing an even more immersive and smooth interpreting experience. I made a very simple graph here to visualize what I think. The x-axis represents the timeline, so going left to right is from past to future, and the y-axis represent the number of working human interpreters in the world. So a long, long time ago, when people just started discovering other countries and continents, the number of interpreters was so close to none, but it surely started to increase fast. And perhaps in the distant future, there will be no interpreters because they will all be replaced by non human interpreters. We don't know when that will be. I personally think this X point is where we are right now. I don't think we have reached the peak number of human interpreters that this world needs before the number of interpreters starts to decrease. To put this into perspective, it took us over thousands of years, if not more, to get here from the starting point. How long will it take until we reach the end point where no human interpreter is needed? 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, I don't know. But seeing how fast this AI stuff like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini has been growing, I personally think it is foolish to be absolutely sure and say that our jobs will never be replaced. Of course, there are still many different factors as to why interpreters can and cannot be replaced by AI. Let me just briefly tell you one reason for each that I can think of. Here's one reason why AI will replace us: time and money. Just like I said earlier, how on site interpreters were replaced by remote interpreters, of course, not completely, but on a large scale, I think the biggest driving factor is still time and money. Although remote interpreting services are far better in terms of cost efficiency than on site interpreting, they still have a long way to go. Many doctors and patients complain about the long wait time to get an interpreter on the phone. Also, I know as an interpreter, we always feel that we don't get paid enough, but the cost of interpreting services is not cheap for the customers that need the services on a daily basis. That is exactly why AI will most likely replace us. It is fast, no one has to wait, it will always be cheaper than labor. This always has been the main driving force of new technology being invented and the shift in paradigm. And I can easily see this in the interpreting service industry as well. Now, of course, there are many reasons that make this paradigm shift difficult. One of the biggest reasons that I can think of is an error. And that error that I'm talking about, my friends, is not from the AI, but from us, the people. When we work as an interpreter, we take on many different roles. We usually call these the four roles of an interpreter. If you are curious about this, I have a lecture video of my course that is posted for free on YouTube, so you can always check that out. When there is an error, we specifically take on the role of a clarifier. When we think about interpreting for two people, we ideally want the conversation to be nice and smooth. Everyone takes their turn to speak, giving enough time for the interpreter to facilitate the conversation. But in real life, that's obviously not the case. If you have worked as an interpreter before, you know how often people talk over each other. People don't always answer the question that was asked. People forget what they just said. People say things that are confusing and not logical, even to our standard. That's when the interpreter takes on the clarifier role and intervenes so we can get that miscommunication or misunderstanding corrected. Now, yes, AI can also do the same thing. However, the problem with this is that people seem to lose that trust a lot quicker when AI has to do this. If you have ever tried to use a chatbot on a company's website or automated system on the phone, trying to talk to this machine, you know how frustrating it can be, right? As soon as you know that this machine is not understanding what you need, you instantly want a real person or a live representative to help you with this issue. This is most likely going to happen for AI interpreters as well in the future. If the technology is there, which I believe is getting there fast, it's quite unlikely that AI will be causing more errors than human interpreters. It is most likely that humans, patients, customers, and providers that are speaking in a nonsensical manner that's causing this issue. So I do not know what exactly the solution is for the AI, and that's not what I'm trying to figure out here. But I think this is probably one of the biggest obstacles that AI will have to overcome to replace our jobs. If I finish my video here, I think that will be quite depressing, especially for an interpreter like myself. So what do we do? If you are an interpreter or someone who is thinking about becoming an interpreter, I don't think you should quit or looking for a different job because AI is taking over our jobs at some point in the future. As I mentioned earlier, we still have not reached the point where we have enough interpreters, translators, and linguists for all of our needs, in my opinion. I know for a fact there are still extremely high demands for many languages, and there are still so many companies, hospitals, institutions, cities, and countries that do not have easy access to interpreting services, which means there is still room for a higher demand. So, ironically, in order for us to get to this final point, we have to pass this summit point where we will have a lot more professional human interpreters than we do right now. Also, this change will not be something that just happens overnight. I firmly believe that it is not going to be just one person or one company that develops super AI that will replace every single interpreter in this world. Before that happens, it is highly likely that human interpreters who have skills and knowledge will use the AI that will help them doing their jobs, what they call the augmented AI. The augmented AI will accelerate the skilled interpreters to be distinguished from others who are just mindlessly taking their calls every day to just make money. So in the end, interpreters who know what they are doing and still strive to get better by improving themselves will be needed more and more because they are a lot harder to replace with AI. That is my thought. Please feel free to leave a comment if you agree or disagree. Let's talk about it. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Interpreter disconnecting. Bye bye.